The last thing we did was looking at the results of the manipulation research laboratory, and we were looking at the hand order and the object order combined. But all of this work and everything else we've done so far isn't about what's right and what's wrong. The only idea that I'm working with inside of my juggling life is this idea of consciousness. So it's only to be aware of what you're doing, to understand that you're making a choice and that you're not doing something that you don't want to do just because you never thought about it. So all these ideas about technique, about composition, about rules or right or wrong or good or bad, there's not one way to juggle. There's not one way that's better than another way. There's only the way that you choose to juggle and how you want to juggle. So there's this idea of consciousness, just that we're aware of what are the possibilities, what are the choices, and where do I stand inside of these ideas. So there are also, of course, ideas about juggling technique, and you have these different people who say, well, there's the correct way to juggle, there's the right way, you have to stand, your shoulders have to be a certain way, your arms have to be a certain way, you have to use your wrist and your elbow in a certain order, and this is going to be the right way to juggle, this is the correct way. And for sure, there's a lot of good ideas inside of these physical rules in terms of how your body works, how gravity, interacts with objects and levers and release points and timing and everything. So for sure, there's a lot of good ideas and the correct posture or the right way, but it's not the only way or the right way. There's not a right or wrong way. It's juggling. There is probably at some point an optimal way in terms of theoretical anatomy and physics of how objects can be thrown in the air in a certain style. But again, as we've seen, there's so many different styles with juggling. We're not just talking anymore about taking a ball and throwing it as high as you can. So we have all these other different ideas inside of juggling now. So in terms of, am I juggling the right way? Is my technique right or is my technique wrong? It's only if you can do it better once you understand what you're trying to do. If you want to juggle 7 club cascade on your own and you want to juggle it like this, something like this, that's fine, then go for it. The problem becomes if you come and juggle a 7 club cascade and you're doing this and you don't know that you're doing that. And then someone says, hey, your right shoulder is like really high up and you're leaning over, and you go, oh, I wasn't aware of that, okay. And you say, yeah, but you're still leaning to the left. Oh, okay, I didn't want to do that. So it's just only because it's what you want to do. So this idea of consciousness is, what do we want to do with our work? What are the choices? What are the possibilities? What are the options? And what do I want to do about all these ideas? Who am I? And what do I want to do with my juggling? That's the only thing that I've been working on for my whole life in terms of ideas about technique and creativity. It's not that there's one way you have to do it, or that one way is going to be better than another. It's only what you're trying to accomplish in the end. So we have this idea about manipulation research laboratory, trying to say what is good juggling and what is bad juggling. In that way, you could also say, how am I aware of what my juggling is? Or what can I do with my juggling? And that started off looking at the objects. The manipulation research laboratory, we started with the order of the objects, so the ratio of the objects to each other, of how we're going to manipulate them. And then we moved a little bit more into the body work of what's the hand order, so how is the body moving, and we kind of ignore the objects. Now we're going to start again with the body category in my three categories in the definition of juggling, or what I consider to be this map of juggling. And to do this work with the body today, we're going to first start where we did before, with one ball with the body, and we're going to see how we can start to extend that into further areas. Because again, everything we've done so far, a lot of times we do with one ball or 3 balls, but that's not the point of the work. The point is to translate it into what you want to do. Again, this idea of consciousness. What do I want to do with juggling? So, before we get there, we need to do a little bit of a warm-up. And for this warm-up, we're going to play a game. And you can play this game on your own, but it's a little bit easier to do with your friends, and you're going to see why. So if you have some friends, then, well, we are friends here, so that's good. Then it's going to be better. But of course, you can try this on your own later on, and there's different ways to adapt the game to work only by yourself if you don't have anybody around at the moment and you want to play the game. But basically, the game is really, really simple. It's just a few rules. They're really easy. The first rule, and the main rule, is that we're going to have an object, and for now I'm picking one ball because it's the easiest one, it's going to be the fastest one to use for now. And the object is going to start, for now I'm going to say it's in the right hand. And normally I don't care which hand. Remember, so far when we've been working, I just say pick a hand or pick the other hand. But for now, it's really important. We say the right hand. So the ball is going to be in the right hand. It's going to start in the right hand. The ball is going to do something, and it's going to end in the right hand. And what that something is can be anything. But it's not a competition. It's not something where we're looking to do the hardest trick, or the craziest trick, or the most creative trick. It can be anything in the world. It can be the most simple trick, that's fine. And what we're going to do is we're going to build a sequence with one ball in the right hand. So we're standing in a circle, and we're going to go around the circle one at a time, and we're each going to add a move. And once we've added the move, everybody should understand what that move is, so we all practice the new throw, and then we do the sequence from the beginning so we don't forget it. But this is much easier to do when we actually practice it than to talk about. But just to be, again, really stupidly clear, so the rule was the ball has to start in the right hand and it has to end in the right hand. It means that this is okay, and it's not okay because it's in the other hand. And so sure, you can start to ask me, but is this okay? And yeah, maybe that's okay if you want to. But again, keep it simple. It can be anything you want in the world. And since this is a new game for us in this little warm-up, I'm going to start us off. So the first move, I'll show it to you. I'm just going to do anything that comes to my mind. It doesn't matter what. And then you do the move yourself, so you understand, oh, I understand how this trick works. And then we're going to go around the circle and add a new little throw or move or manipulation each, and have a sequence in the end. So let's see, the first thing we can do is it can be anything in the world. So we can go like this. So just put the ball on your head with your right hand, and then it catches back in the right hand. And then we can just go around the circle and anything you want. So after on the head, what should we do? Great, so everybody try to put the ball under the leg first. So the right hand with the right leg, same hand, same leg. We did this the other day. And then we're going to go on the head and under the leg. And then around the circle, the next one. Great, so you're going to throw the ball up in point, so everybody try that first. And then we're going to go on the head, under the leg, and then throw up and point at the ball. And the next one. Great, around the back, do it one more time. And under the arm. So then we have on the head, under the leg, throw and point, and then around behind the back, under the arm. And at this point, you can understand that you only have to remember your own throw, because if I forget, then I just count. I say, I don't remember what the second or third, let's say the third throw, I don't remember, and I count, oh, I was number 1. I go 1, 2, 3, and I say, okay, what was your move? And then you remind me, and it was the throw and the point. And then in that way, I only have to remember my own move. You only have to remember your own move, you only have to remember your own move, and then it's fine. Because if I forget, then I can ask you. But if you forget, then I don't know. So that's the very important thing. So let's see what happens after the behind the back. We do a shoulder throw. Everybody do a shoulder throw. Great, and then we're just going to go on the head, onto the leg, throw and point, behind the back, and then shoulder throw. And now at this point, what we can do is we need to remember the sequence. And part of remembering the sequence is, of course, you just repeat the sequence, but also, as you're repeating it, we can start to combine the moves together so that it flows a little bit better with rhythm. And what it means is we want to try to do the sequence in such a way that the ball never stops moving. So right now we have a sequence that's like here, and then, oh, right, under the leg. Oh, okay, then it was the throw and the point. Like you're remembering, it's very conscious inside of the sequence. So we can try to do our two things. The first thing is just to connect all the movements. So just the ball never stops moving all the time until the end. It's the first thing to do. And the second thing is, a good way to try to achieve that is to do the sequence as fast as you can. So then you really try to do it really, really fast, and then the object will probably move a lot more than before. So let's try to take a couple minutes on our own to remember the sequence and to connect all the movements so the object doesn't stop and to do it as fast as you can. Okay, great. Now we're going to do the next part of the warm-up, of the little game we're playing. So now we're going to take the ball and we're going to go like this. And now we have the ball in the left hand. And we're going to make a new sequence. And the rule is the ball starts in the left hand and it does something and it has to end up back in the left hand. So it's the same thing as in the right hand, but now we're playing the game with the left hand and we're going to do a new sequence. So don't forget your one throw from the right-handed sequence. That's all you have to remember. And if you remember that, we can reconstruct that if we forget the whole thing. But now let's make a new sequence with the left hand, and we can start over here. We can go around the circle the other way. So what's the first thing we're going to do with our left hand? So simple throw. Okay, good. And the next thing in the left hand? Okay, so we have this penguin catch. How do you want to say this? We have a throw, and then we have the penguin catch. Good. And the next thing in the left hand, arm bounce. So make sure you can do an arm bounce. So then we have a throw, we have a penguin catch, and we have an arm bounce. Good. And the next one, do it again. So it's a throw and a catch, opposite arm, opposite leg with the same hand. So from the beginning it's a throw, penguin catch, arm bounce, catch under the leg. And then the last one, I'll do the last one. So we have a pirouette. You can throw with your left straight up and down and turn to your right. It would be nice. So then the whole sequence again. We have the throw, normal throw, penguin, arm bounce, catch under the leg, and then the pirouette. And again, now we want to remember the sequence and we connect all the movements. Also do it as fast as possible. So we have here, here. So work on that on your own, really quick, and remember the sequence. Okay, great. Now that we know the sequence on both sides, let's get one more ball each. So we have 2 balls. Great, so now we have 2 balls, and we're going to do the sequence on each side at the same time. And the way this is going to happen is we're going to use rhythm and timing. It means as much as we can, as much as possible, we should try to have the balls start moving at the same time and finish moving at the same time. Because of course, it can be really easy that we do the moves one after each other. And that is a lot of juggling, right? We do have, for example, in the cascade, you start throwing one ball and then you throw the next ball after that a little bit later. It makes it easier in that way. But now we're going to have some technical challenges. And the idea of this warm-up or this exercise is to start to understand, first of all, rhythm, and 2 things happening at the same time, and how we can start to translate ideas into things that work, because now we basically created some problems for ourselves that we don't know about. We've made a random sequence, a random choreography, and we're going to have to see if it works. And for sure we're going to encounter some problems, and then it's how we solve those problems that's going to create some juggling. So let's see what happened. So on the right, the first move we had was the ball went on the head and down, and on the left, the first move was here, and you had just a straight up and down throw. So we tried those at the same time. Go for that. Great. Yeah, and again, there's no right or wrong way to combine these, but obviously we all kind of have the same idea. And this way it's pretty easy to understand, but I want to point out one thing that's happening, which is that on this side we have the normal throw. And so for this throw, the first half of the path, the ball is flying through the air. It's also flying through the air for the second half. But here we have a carrying on the first half. So we can actually do those in the same rhythm exactly, and it works perfectly. So the throw on this side is the carrying, and I let go for the second half of the throw, it's the drop. The same thing here, when the ball changes direction, and we can catch exactly the same time. And in one way this is pretty simple. We all did it the first time without any problem. But it is something to think about in one way that we do have a throw and we have a carry at the same time. And if you've never tried this before, it can be quite weird. It can be quite strange feeling. As well, the throw has to go straight up and down, and the ball's kind of coming back towards your head. So we have these two opposite actions at the same time. It can be a little bit hard if you've never tried it before. But like everything else we do, the more you practice, the easier it gets. So let's see. In the right hand, the next move was what? So we have under the leg here. And in the left hand, what was the next move? Was here. So we have this. So again, we have two throws at the same time. And those are pretty easy to have exactly at the same time. Because they can both go up at the same time and down at the same time, no problem. In the right hand next we had, what did we have here? A point. And you were also the left hand then there. So now we have a point and an arm bounce. So try that out on your own and see how we do. So this one's a little bit harder to be at the same time, right? There's a lot of different choices here. We can definitely throw at the same time, and we have the point, that's no problem. And the throwing over here, we have the arm bounce. But in that way, we're going to add a beat of time. So either, the natural thing to do would be that you catch one after the other, but we're really trying to catch at the same time. And that way, we can do a little bit higher throw on the pointing and a very low throw. So we have they catch at the same time. So try it one more time and see if you can figure out the rhythm that we get at the same time. That's the hard one. In juggling, lots of times we put things off time, that you can catch them in sequence or throw them in sequence. It's easier to understand. Good. Yeah, nice. So then we had on the right hand here, what was it? Here. And then we had on the left hand. Yeah, here. Great. So again, there's no right or wrong way to combine these, but we tried them out and see what happens. So there's a couple things to notice from this combination. The first one is that it's pretty easy to get your balls mixed up that they cross to the other hand, I think, in this throw. So if we switch and we each have a different colored ball. So here you have to really make sure the white ball is going to stay to that same hand, the pink ball to the other hand. And then we have that they come back in the same place. It's pretty easy in this one to get them mixed up that they would switch, but that's not what we're trying to do. Also, we can understand that from this game, we had no idea we were going to do this throw. So we didn't come here and start off together and say, okay, hey, let's do a two-ball throw. What should we do? And then we sit around and we think really hard. Oh, I don't know, what can we do? Like, maybe we could do this one. No, that's not good enough, or interesting enough, or fun enough, or whatever. Oh, I have a great idea, let's do this one. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So we have a game that's random. It means it produces different results. So we have this result as the first one. Personally, I don't think I'll ever do that again the rest of my life, unless I have to. I don't find much value in it. However, the throw we just did, which was this one, that's kind of nice. And I never probably would have thought of that in such a short amount of time. And that's the key. So this process of this game produces random results. You're basically getting tricks for free. But you're getting maybe bad tricks for free, or you're getting tricks that are maybe a little bit more interesting for free. But in that way, it doesn't matter. If you do a bad trick, it's okay. You can just play the game again. You can get 5 more tricks. No problem. And I much prefer to work like that, where I have some idea that I'm following. Even if the result is in the end pretty boring, at least I have some action and forward movement. And then I can do that trick and say, oh, actually for me, I don't ever have to do that again. It's okay. But then maybe at the same time, I do find some sort of throw like we just did, and I'm like, oh, that gives me something. I'm inspired to do something to carry on from there. And then that way, the amount of effort I put into that trick to make the good trick was nothing. I get a trick for free. I just play a random game, and I get these ideas that just come. Because I'm always working, always going forward, and I'm never stuck. And I don't stop, and I think, okay, well this trick was bad, so how can I make it better? Or what is good? Or what is bad? I don't have to think what is good or bad in the creation. I just have to create things, and afterwards I judge them. Then I think, is this valuable? Should I keep it or not? Okay, so let's try the last one. So in the right hand, what was the last move? Was it you? Here we had, yeah, here. And then on the left was me, and we had the turn. So let's try to combine those together. And in this way we have a lot of possibilities. So just give it a go. There's not a right or wrong way. Great. So now we start to see there's a lot of possibilities, and we're talking about rhythm. The rule of the game was that the ball should leave at the same time and come back down at the same time. But now it's not really possible. Because on one hand, we should really turn, do the turn, and with the other hand, we don't have a turn underneath the ball. It means you just have a few choices. The first one is, we do the throws together, and I catch this ball before I catch the pirouette. And that way I do turn underneath this ball, and I don't turn underneath the other ball. But then the rhythm is broken. So I have a synchronous start, and then a 1-2 ending. Of course, there is a way to make the throws synchronous, but it means then I'm going to have to cheat a little bit, and I have to turn underneath the shoulder throw ball, so that I have and those could be synchronous. Or, of course, there's the other way too, which is I can do a synchronous catch instead of a synchronous throw. So I throw, turn, and then try to do the little shoulder throw afterwards. But those are the choices. Either we do a synchronous throw, and then the catches are async. We cheat and have sync, throw and catch, but the turn underneath the shoulder throw. Or then again, we could do this weird one where it's out here, and then try to catch them at the same time. So pick one of those three and then give it a go again and see which one you like better. There's no right or wrong way. Good. I mean, the other thing about this game that I really like, especially as a warm-up, is it makes you do new things you would never try before, also in terms of technique. So even that we fail in these things, we fail in the rhythm, or we make a trick that we don't think is really good, it's okay. You're still practicing juggling, and we're actually practicing juggling. That's some of the hardest juggling to do, which is this synchronous stuff where two things are happening at the same time. We had this idea before about two rhythms happening at the same time. Now we just have two physical actions, and how can we coordinate our body to do two, different qualities of movement in the same movement. Okay, let's try the same game again. Now that we know what's going to happen, we can still make it random anyway, and we don't have to plan ahead and try to guess what's going to make a good combination. We can just let it happen by chance. And so this way, let's just take another order of who starts and which way we're going to add the other hand in. And I don't think we can going to guess what's going to happen. So let's start before on the right side. I started, so we can go around the circle this way, but why don't you start on the right hand, and I'll do the last move on the right hand. So what's the first move in the right? Yep, so everybody try that throw, that catch. Cool. And the next one on the right? Yes. So we do the first move, and then the second move. And the next one on the right. Okay, so around the arm and the leg. So we do the first move, second move, third move. good. Now we're going to do the next new one on the right. Okay. So we try it from the beginning again, just so you remember all of them. Yeah, everybody has that so far? Mm-hmm. Good. And then, so I'll do the last one on the right. I'm just going to go here. Back to the right hand. So then from the beginning, just remember one last time here, and try to connect the movements a little bit. Okay, great. So now let's take the ball to the other hand, and we'll make another sequence. And for now, let's say I'm going to start. So it means we're going to go here, throw the ball straight up. You're going to reach around that other arm and grab it there. So then let's go around this way, the other way, and we're going to go on the left. What do you want to do? Anything in the world. Try it again. Do it with the catch under the second leg. Okay, do it again. Okay. So from the beginning, again, we're going to have the under the arm catch and then the under the leg catch. And remember, just don't forget your one move from the sequence before and your new sequence, the one move you did for your new sequence. Then it's going to be no problem. Okay, next one on the left. Yes, catch under the opposite leg. So from the beginning, we have the catch under the arm, catch under the leg, and then catch under the arm.
No, it was opposite.
Oh, yeah, under the leg, exactly, yeah. Cool. And the last one.
The last one.
Okay. So go under the same arm, same leg, but don't lift the leg. So now we can go from the beginning and remember this sequence again, just one time through. Try to connect them. Yeah, good. So let's take one more ball. We have two balls each and then try to combine them. Okay, so let's try to combine the second time through this game. Combine both the right and left hands. So we started here on the right hand and the first move was this. And then we started here on the left hand. No, we started with me on the left hand and the move was this. So now we have quite a challenge to figure out. And again, there's no right or wrong way. We just have to go for it and don't forget the idea. Of course, is that the balls start and stop at the same time, but maybe it's not possible. But in this work that we're doing, when we combine these throws, what I also like is you get to start to interpret what is important about the throw. So just as before, we had talked about this shoulder throw and the other throw with the pirouette, and we started to say, okay, of course we can do both and then turn and catch. But then what is a shoulder throw? Is a shoulder throw, is it okay that after I throw over my shoulder, the body turns in relationship to the object? Is that okay? Is that still a shoulder throw? And we can start to see what is the definition of what we're doing. So on the left side, I'm saying I'm catching under the right arm, and at the same time we're saying that the right arm is catching under the leg. So is this even physically possible? We have to try and see. Otherwise we have to reinterpret what we're doing and see how we can make it possible in terms of a creative solution. So let's try it out. Okay, so let's go through rhythmically what's going to happen. So it means that we can try, first of all, is it physically possible to do them both at the same time? I think theoretically it's physically possible. I mean, you first just have to go to the position and say, where's the throw? Well, the throw on both sides is this, so that's fine. Then you have to say, where's the catch? So the catch would be here, and the catch would be here at the same time, right? Did you guys kind of get there too, that same idea? So if I say, here's the catch, I mean, something like this. So maybe it's physically possible. It's pretty hard, right? I mean, if we try to do that, you could maybe hit that position. But let's look at it a couple different ways. It's the same thing that we had with the pirouette before. Either we complete one of the throws before or after the other throw to try to make it easier. So in that way we can try to do like this. We can either try to catch the left hand ball before we catch the right hand ball. Because clearly if I do it like this, that's easy, right? We can all do that. So in what way can we throw at the same time and do an early catch on the left hand ball and then catch the right hand ball? So we at least have a synchronous start and then a 1-2 after that? Or can we do the opposite? Can we do 1-2 and catch them at the same time? And again, we already looked at the same time catch in terms of this position being pretty hard. So maybe what we're looking at is we're going to have maybe a synchronous start. So we have like that at least. So we have a synchronous start and then we have a offbeat catch. So synchronous start, something like that, I don't know. But try it again and think about these ideas of rhythm, synchronous starts, off-time catches, or the other way around. Off-time start, synchronous catch, or if you can do both at the same time, it's great, but I think it's pretty hard in the time we have today. So I started to have a little bit of success with my technique, and I started to reinterpret this idea that we were doing. In that way, what I mean is, originally I had intended that the left hand throws and catches underneath the right arm, which is not moving. But now, because I have this right arm catch, I was having a little bit of a success having this idea that I'm going to throw this ball, and in order to catch it under that right arm, my right arm is actually moving around it. Like that. So I still have a timing issue on my catches, but I'm trying to reinterpret it so that maybe it's possible synchronous. So try that a little bit. We have this idea, instead of just keeping that arm still, we're going to try to move it around on its way to do the catch. Yeah! If we could catch synchronously, it would be nice. Maybe not. But try it out, see if you can move that arm. Yeah, cool. That's not bad. Maybe that's as synchronous as we're going to get for today. But I like this idea that we can start to reinterpret different throws in different ways. That instead of having the arm just not moving, we can maybe try to, solve a problem by moving it, but still keeping this idea that it's catching underneath that arm somehow. Like that. But again, this game is random, and you never know what you're going to get. So, let's see. So then on the right, we're going to have here. Great. And then we had started here on the left, so you're on the left next. Cool, so again, on the right was this under the arm catch, right?
Yeah.
So it's again, in one way, the same problem we have, but let's try it out, see if it's easier, or more possible. So I'm having some pretty good luck to start to understand the technique in terms of this catching position, because again, the throwing position is the same. That's easy to do synchronously. The catching position is here and here. So the first thing I did was I started to think, okay, from here can I catch there? Oh yeah, it's not that hard. It's just mentally to get these actions at the same time. So I was having some sort of success to start to think that this throw here is very small. Because when we do it without the end of the leg, when you did it, it's very easy to think that's a really big throw. But again, what's unique about that throw? The unique thing is that you catch it under the other arm. So it could be this small if you want. It's the same throw in one way. So I had some success in thinking that this throw was really big, and that this throw once from there is just really small. I don't know if it works for you, but try it out and maybe we have a different idea about it. So, at least in this way, what I like about this is we have a new trick we can work on if we like this idea. Because personally, for me, I really like this start, and I like that I end up here. It's kind of a nice combination. I wouldn't, again, normally have thought of so easily. But I don't have to do it instantly. We can save this for later. If it's a trick you like, you can work on it and learn it. But definitely it's more possible than the first one I think we did. Let's try the next one. So we have in the right hand, we're going to go right hand here. So it was catch under the arm and leg, yeah? Yeah. And then 1, 2, 3, you're also the left hand, so back cross. Cool. Let's try it out. We're going to try to throw at the same time and catch at the same time. So this one's pretty straightforward, depending on how you define this over the arm, over the leg kind of catch. Because there we have in one way. But you did it nicer. Can I see you do it? Try again. Do it, catch it good? You have a really good rhythm and a good body placement. Yeah, nice. And so again, it's how we start to interpret that rhythm and say what's important about it. It's also one of those tricks where it's super easy to cross the balls and not understand that the ball comes all the way back to the same side. It's really easy to do one of those things. Let's see. We had then on the right here. Okay. Cool. And then on the left we had, right, so catch, yeah, cool. So again, it's just a up and down kind of thing. Yeah, good. That's good. Great, perfect. Okay, super. So this was a little bit of a warm-up for later on what we're going to do. Don't forget all these tricks. You don't have to remember all of them, but we're going to use some of them later on. And we're going to start with going over some of the material we started doing with only the body movement, which we did with one ball. If you remember, it was just going back and forth, and we were moving the hands around in the head, and then eventually the body. But now we're going to start to see how these concepts can translate into different kinds of work. We're not going to take such a crazy step today. We're just going to use 2 balls instead of 1. But hopefully it will help you start to understand how we can concretely translate these ideas into further technique. It's not just an abstract concept that I keep repeating again and again that, yeah, we're going to use this in our own work and you figure that out. It sounds nice, but where does it go? This is a real concrete step towards that. Expanding from 1 ball to 2 balls is a really good understanding of the process then of 2 balls to 3 balls, or cigar boxes, or Diablos, or whatever you want to do. And so the tricks we were just doing now in this warm-up, we're going to come back and use them a little bit later on, and start to see how we can use those tricks inside of a different concept or a different part of juggling. Now we were just doing some sketches of ideas with 2 balls, but probably, I'm guessing, yeah, sure, at some point maybe you want to do a sequence of 2-ball juggling. This could also work for that, but still we're just doing little parts of juggling. We don't really have a full piece of juggling yet, if that's our goal. So what I'm really interested to see is how we can interpret these ideas and take them further into what we actually want to accomplish for real. And not just, yeah, okay, we had a nice time together now. It was fun. We did some juggling, we can go home. But what do you really want to do with juggling? And I don't want to just do that, I want to go further. So we're going to take some of the things we did with 2 balls and try to go further with that as well.